Sleeping Beauty, a gentle bedtime retelling. Part 1, The Soothing Beginning. Welcome, dear listener. It's time to rest now. Let your body relax. Let your eyes grow heavy, and allow your thoughts to float gently, like clouds in the sky. Tonight, I'll tell you a story of ancient kingdoms, of kind kings and gentle queens, of a baby girl blessed by fairies, and a long, peaceful sleep beneath the whispering trees. So breathe in slowly, and breathe out even more slowly. You are safe. You are warm. You are ready for dreams. Let us begin. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a quiet kingdom surrounded by forests of silver leaves. The rivers whispered lullabies as they flowed gently to the sea, and golden sunlight danced softly through the clouds each morning. In this peaceful place, there lived a king and queen. They were kind rulers, gentle with their people, and they ruled not with power, but with love. For many years, they lived in quiet hope. There was only one wish in their hearts: to have a child, a baby to hold, to love, to raise in peace. And one calm spring morning, as the dew still sparkled on the petals of the palace roses, their wish was granted. The queen gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Her skin was soft like the clouds above. Her eyes shimmered like early morning light. They named her Aurora, for she was born at dawn just as the first pink light kissed the sky. The entire kingdom rejoiced. Birds sang sweeter songs. Bells rang from every tower, and flowers bloomed in celebration, even in the deepest woods. Part 2, The Fairies' Blessings and the Forgotten One. As the days passed, preparations were made for a grand celebration. The king and queen wished to invite the entire kingdom to welcome little Aurora into the world with joy and kindness. They sent golden invitations written with care, carried by white doves to every corner of the land. From the tallest mountains to the quietest valleys, people prepared gifts, songs, and soft words for the newborn princess. But there were more than just people in this kingdom. There were beings of light and magic. Gentle fairies who lived deep in the woods, and who only appeared for moments of great love and new life. On the day of the celebration, 7 fairies came, each dressed in robes woven from moonlight and blossoms. They carried no gold, no jewels, only their blessings, which were far more precious. The first fairy stepped forward and whispered, "I give you the gift of grace, sweet child. May your every step be gentle and kind." The second smiled and said, "I give you the gift of beauty, not only in face but in heart, so all who know you will feel peace." The third fairy sang softly, "I give you the gift of wisdom, so you may choose your path with understanding and calm." And one by one, the fairies offered their gifts: joy, curiosity, kindness, and a voice like songbirds at dawn. The great hall glowed with light and happiness. The baby slept peacefully in her golden cradle, unaware of the love and magic surrounding her. But just as the last blessing was given, the sky darkened. The wind grew still, and a cold hush fell over the hall. A shadow passed through the grand doors. It was the Forgotten One, an 8th fairy, older than the others, dressed in dark robes that shimmered like storm clouds. She had lived far away from the court for many years, hidden deep in the mountains where the moon never rose. And because no one had seen her, no one had invited her. She stepped forward slowly. The guests stepped back in fear. But she did not shout, nor raise her voice. Instead, she looked at the sleeping child and whispered, "When the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on a spindle and fall into a sleep deeper than time itself." A cold wind swept through the room, the candles flickered, and then the fairy was gone. The hall was silent. The queen held her child close, her hands trembling. Then the 7th fairy, who had not yet given her gift, stepped forward. Her voice was calm, and her eyes full of gentle light. "I cannot undo the curse," she said, "but I can soften it. The princess will not die. She will only sleep, until love, pure and true, finds her again." The king and queen bowed in gratitude, though their hearts were heavy. Outside the castle, The wind carried whispers of the prophecy, and deep in the forest, the trees swayed, as if they too knew the story that was unfolding. Part 3: The Forest of Dreams. Time moved like the wind through leaves, softly, gently, quietly. To protect their daughter, the king and queen made a difficult choice. They asked the seventh fairy to take Aurora far away, to a quiet cottage hidden deep in the forest, where spinning wheels would never be found. And so, in the hush of night, the baby princess was carried through moonlit trees, wrapped in soft silk and sleepy magic, while the stars watched in silence above. The forest where Aurora grew up was no ordinary place. It was alive with old whispers, gentle shadows, and creatures that moved slowly so as not to disturb the stillness. The fairies cared for her like loving aunts. They gave her many names: Briar Rose, Little Moon, but never called her Princess. For here in the woods, she was simply a child of the forest. She learned to speak with birds, to dance with the breeze, and to follow the streams as they hummed old lullabies. Each morning, the light would slip through the leaves, painting patterns on the floor where she sat and read old stories. And each evening, the trees would sway gently above her, as she fell asleep to the sound of wind in the branches. Aurora grew tall and graceful, with laughter that warmed even the shyest animals. She would hum soft melodies while picking flowers, or sit by the lake, watching her reflection ripple like a dream. The fairies watched her with quiet pride. Though the curse lingered like a forgotten thread in time, they never spoke of it. For each day was a gift, each breath was a blessing. But as the sun rose on her 16th birthday, a stillness filled the air. The birds sang a little softer, and the breeze seemed to pause mid-flight. Aurora awoke early, as always. She stretched her arms toward the sunlight and felt a gentle pull, as if something, some ancient melody, was calling her from beyond the trees. Just a little walk, she whispered to herself, bare feet on moss, hair flowing like the river, eyes wide with wonder. She walked past the path she knew, past the berry bushes and the fairy pond, into a clearing she had never seen before. There, standing like a forgotten tower, was a small stone house, old and covered in ivy. A quiet place, hidden and waiting. Aurora tilted her head, curious, calm, drawn by something she did not understand. She pushed open the door. It creaked, but gently. Inside, the room was still, bathed in soft golden dust, as if no one had entered for 100 years. And in the corner, a spindle stood, turning slowly, as if in a dream. Part 4: The Deep, Gentle Sleep. Aurora stepped closer, drawn by the soft turning of the spindle, its quiet hum, like a lullaby whispered through time. She reached out, curious but calm, not afraid, not rushed, as if her hand knew the way before her heart did. And then, her fingertip touched the spindle's tip. A single breath, a sudden stillness, and then a wave of warmth, soft and heavy, like a velvet blanket wrapped around her soul. Her eyes fluttered, her knees bent slowly, and she sank gently to the floor, as if the earth itself had caught her in its arms. She did not feel pain, she did not feel fear, only sleep. A deep, quiet sleep, as peaceful as starlight resting on the surface of a calm lake. Far away, in the castle where she was born, the king and queen felt the change. Though they could not explain it, their hearts grew quiet, and their eyes filled with silent sorrow. But the seventh fairy had not forgotten her promise. With a touch of her staff, she sent a spell of sleep across the land, not of sadness, but of stillness. The queen, sitting by the window, closed her eyes with a gentle sigh. The king's hand slipped into hers, as they both drifted into dreams. In the kitchens, the cooks paused mid-stir. The maids folded towels that would never wrinkle again. The guards leaned softly against the walls. Even the birds in the tower nests tucked their beaks under their wings and stopped singing for a while. Time itself slowed down, wrapped in silence, held in love. Thorns began to grow around the castle, not wild, but purposeful. Vines twisted gently around towers, roses bloomed silently on every wall. The forest grew thick and protective, as if nature too wanted to guard the sleeping princess. And there she lay, in a high room of the quiet castle, on a bed of soft linen and faded light, her chest rising and falling like a lullaby, sleeping, waiting, not lost, only resting. The world forgot her name for a time. But the forest remembered, the stars remembered, and the spell whispered across the leaves. When the time is right, she will wake. Part 5. The Awakening of Light. Years passed, then decades, and the forest grew thick with time. Stories of the sleeping castle became whispers, told by grandmothers near firelight, or carried in the wind by birds who had once seen the towers. Some said it was only a dream. Some believed it was real. But the forest remembered. One day, in a nearby kingdom, a young prince heard an old story, spoken by a traveler with tired feet and a voice like wind. "A girl lies sleeping in a castle of thorns," he said. "Her name is forgotten by many, but not by the trees, and not by time." The prince listened, not with ambition, but with a soft curiosity, like a dream he had once had but could not name. He followed the tale beyond rivers and hills, past villages and ruins, until the air grew quiet and the sun dimmed behind ancient trees. There he found the forest. It did not block his path with anger. Instead, it opened gently, as if it too had waited long enough. He walked beneath arches of vines, past roses that bloomed in silence. Every step felt familiar, like walking into a forgotten memory. At last he reached the castle gates, still silent, covered in green. He stepped inside, and the silence welcomed him. He climbed the winding stairs, the same steps the fairy had once walked. And at the very top, in a sunlit room untouched by time, he saw her. She lay peacefully, eyes closed, hands resting softly, as if only moments had passed. The prince did not speak. He did not shout. He simply stepped closer, and with the gentlest motion, he placed a kiss, not of possession, but of recognition. A quiet breath escaped her lips. The roses outside opened wider, and a hush, like dawn, passed through the halls. She opened her eyes, softly, calmly, as if waking from a long, beautiful dream. Their eyes met, and though no words were spoken, something warm passed between them. A knowing, a peace, a beginning. The castle woke, not in a burst, but like petals unfolding after a storm. The queen stirred first, smiling before she knew why. The king blinked at the light and whispered his daughter's name. The cooks returned to their pots. The maids finished their folds. The birds sang again. And the forest, which had waited for so long, exhaled in joy. A celebration was held, but not loud, not grand. It was gentle and full of light. Aurora and the prince walked through the halls hand in hand. Not as strangers, but as dreamers who had found one another through time, sleep, and quiet hope. And in the years that followed, they ruled not with might, but with listening, with laughter, and with love. The kingdom, once asleep, became more alive than ever before. And when people asked how it all began, they said, it began with sleep, and was awakened by kindness. So now, dear listener, let your body rest. Let your thoughts soften, for the story is told, and sleep is calling gently. Good night and sweet dreams.